Welcome to my porch. Today we're going to work on a song called God Will Open Up the Windows. It was recorded by Babby Mason. It has a sort of old school feel, nice churchy, rocking feel. I'm going to play it on my tenor ukulele, which is tuned to G, C, E, A. So to play the song in the key of C, we have to understand what the C scale is, of course, and the musical alphabet in the key of C. And that would be C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And we're going to use the major chords in the key of C, which are the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So the 1 chord in the key of C is C. The 4 chord in the key of C is F. And the 5 chord in the key of C is G. And as you know, I like to play that G really as a G7 chord. Adds a little more spice, a little more flavor. You know, I compare it to adding mustard on a hot dog. So we're just going to go ahead and start with G7. So we're going to start with just the basics, the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord. And we're going to play it straight through for the beginners. So let's go. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. My God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not have the room to receive that. Okay, so that's the basics of the song, just using the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord. So let's step through that. God will open, that's the C chord, up the windows of heaven. And let me just mention now, I'm just doing down strums to get through the song, and we'll talk about the other strums in a little bit. Okay, for now we're just going to do the down strums. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. Go to F. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. Then we're going to do G7, which is our turnaround chord. Okay, G7. Back to C. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out F blessing. You will see, not have the F room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not have the room, G7, to receive that. Oh, right back. That's the basics. Plain Jane, hot dog, the bun and the meat. Got a little mustard, just a little mustard on the F, on the G7. All right. Well, we might want to add a little more flavor, and the way we're going to add flavor is add a few more 7th chords. So in order to play the C as a 7, you can play it here. So that adds a little flavor there. As you know, I like to play the C7 as a bar chord on this ukulele, so I'm going to use my index finger to play all the strings at the 3rd fret, and I'm going to add my middle finger to the 4th fret of the 3rd string. flavor, but if you're a beginner, you can play it here. It just is fine. And we could also add, take the F and make it a seventh, and we do that by playing the F chord but dropping the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Okay? And then of course you already know our G7 song chord. And let's look at the strum. The strum, I don't know if I can explain it, but I tend to do a lot of chucking. And chucking is when you actually rest the heel of your hand on your strings as you're strumming. So you get that clicking sound. So you play the strings open, then you chuck by almost simultaneously putting the heel of your hand on the strings and running your finger across it at the same time. Took a lot of practice to get that. So if we're gonna do the strum, God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. So that's where we're going to do that strum. Down, chuck, up. See if I can do it. Down, chuck, chuck, down, chuck, up, down, chuck, up, down, chuck, up, down, chuck. All right. I have a tendency to play this song too fast as well. It's better when you slow it down. Now, we're going to add that mustard, the C7 chord, really kind of as an introduction, as a leading tone to our F. So when you go C, God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. G7. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not have the room, the G7 to receive. So that's the basics of that song. But we're going to add a C7. Now, I'm going to introduce another little topic here. I want to talk about, we're going to add a little more flavor. In the C chord, in the C scale, in the C scale, we've identified the major chords. We call them the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. But there are other chords there as well, and they are called minor chords. Now, minor chords tend to be a little sad, a little somber. You know, they're a little dark. They're a little bit of a downer. You know, but we're going to look at the minor chords like we would onions. Now, when we're cooking with onions, nobody walks around with onion in their pocket, usually. You know, but we find that onions can be useful. I mean, if you know, it's not something that you carry around with you, but if you cut an onion, you know, it's smelly, you know, it'll make people, you know, stay away from you. You know, you accidentally drop an onion on your shirt after you're eating it, and you'll be like, where is that coming from? Okay, those are minor chords. You know, you cut an onion, it even make you cry. So those minor chords are kind of like that. They're in their feelings. But if you take an onion and you add it to a beef soup or beef stew, or, you know, sometimes if you cut it up and put it in some of your vegetables, it adds a certain heartiness to it. It gives it substance. It gives it a bottom. It gives it nice flavor. You don't want to overdo it now, but adding a little onion to your dish would just make it taste a little more complex. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some minor chords to our composition here. I'm going to start with the sixth chord in the key of C. The sixth is an A, and we're going to play it as a minor. Okay, and I'm showing you this for a reason. I'm starting with the sixth for a reason, but that's the A chord, A minor. And the sixth likes to go to the 2, which is also minor in the key of C. Well, in any key really. Typically it's minor. So the A minor is going to want to go to a D minor, which we'll play here. You hear those? You know, they're a little apprehensive. They're not as happy as the other chords. All right. But the other thing about the 2 chord, the 2 likes to go to the 5, which is our G7, and the 5 likes to go to the 1. I'm going to give you a little hint. This is the circle of fifths in action. I know you don't want to know those numbers. It's okay. Eventually, you'll get it. If you don't understand it right now, be like Mary, the mother of Jesus, and just ponder these things in your heart, and you'll get it eventually. Now, I'm sure you're saying, now, Jameson, I don't want to remember those numbers. You know, the 6 to the, the 6 to the 2 to the 5 to the 1. I don't want to remember that. I just want to play. And I agree. You just want to play. But you also don't want to be tied to the sheet music. You know, you're sitting out here on the porch. Right now, there's a hurricane out there on the coast. A good gust of wind comes through and blows away our sheet music. We don't have to want to run and chase it down so we can continue to play our song. We kind of want to have a clue as to what's happening next. And as we understand the structure of this song, you will begin to see that these patterns are repeated over and over and over again. So let me help you remember how to apply the circle of fifths in this key. This is a little hint. It's a big secret, but I'm going to give you a little hint. Spell the word bead, B-E-A-D, throw in a G, and you're back to C. That's the secret code. Spell the word bead, throw in a G, and you're back to C. That's just like somebody giving you directions to a house, you know. Spell the word bead, B-E-A-D, throw in a G, you're back to C. Now what's happening here in this song, God will open up the windows of heaven. You know, we're just playing along, jamming with the band, and the bass player takes us out in left field and leaves us there. Watch. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. My God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. I'll pour you out a blessing. My bad. Will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not, here we go, have, we're on the A, have the room, D minor, G7 to receive it. Okay, so that's a 6-2-5-1 progression we did at the end. Watch. You will not to the A, to the D minor, to the G7, to the C. So what happened was, how we did this different from what we did earlier. The bass player took us out to the A minor on that sad chord. How do we get back? You know, I followed the bass player out here. How do I get back? Well, remember this hint that I gave you, the secret code. B-E-A-D, throw in a G, and you're back to C. Well, he dropped us on the A in the word bead. So what's the next letter after the A? It's a D, and it's a D minor. Okay? It's like Hansel and Gretel, following the breadcrumbs. Okay? So we got a D minor. Now what? D minor. So bead, throw in a G. Let's try our G. G7. And then you're back to C, remember? All right. So let's do that again. We will not have the room to receive it. 6251. This will work in any key. All right, if you want to play this song in the key of G, you can follow just what I just told you, and it'll work. Okay? So that's one fancy way. So let's play the song again. This is just the chorus. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. My God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not have the room to receive it. Okay, so we made it through the chorus. Let's take a look at the verse. The verse uses the exact same chords with one exception. One little exception. All right? Let's play till I get to that exception, and then we'll explain it, okay? So, listen, let me tell you about the God I serve. He keeps on blessing me. He still be worthy of, still be worthy. Okay, here's another little exception in the circle of fifths. He still be worthy. Let's go to still be worthy of my praise. Oh, there we go. So still be worthy. Bass player took us out there on that A again. Now we know we're gonna go to a D. You could do a minor. Of my praise. It still be worthy of my praise if He didn't do another thing. Now we could do that. But sometimes when the spices get together in your pot and you got a lot of onions and garlic and you got some tomatoes in there, it's a little overpowering. Even if we keep with our hot dog scenario, we've got mustard on here, we've added a layer of onions. You might just need a little sweetness to counteract some of the bitters, okay? Remember, we're using a bunch of minor chords, and sometimes the sadness just gets a little bit too much. I watched Bobby Flay the other night, and he was making chili, and he took some honey and put it in the chili as a sweetener, okay? So what we're gonna do is this series of minor chords that we were playing, we're playing A minor and we're playing D minor, we're gonna add a little sweetener. And to add a little sweetener, instead of playing the D minor in the verse, we're gonna play the D major. We can leave the mustard on it. We'll make it a D major 7, okay? That just brightens it up just a little bit. And then we can continue on to the G7, all right? So that's one place that we'll have an exception. Right there in the verse, we want to add a little sweetener by changing that D minor to a D major. We're just going to call it a D7, All right, G7. So let's see how that sounds. He'll still be worthy of my praise if he didn't do another thing. Okay. He woke me up, started me on my way. The blood is still running warm. Okay, here's another place that we're going to add another chord. Running warm. When I play this on the piano, I play a diminished chord right here. It just, again, it's a lift. It's a lift, a joyous lift. It's a little odd chord. A lot of times, I don't hear many ukulele players play it, but it's what my ear is telling me. So, even though it looks just like the D7, I'm calling it an F sharp diminished because that's what it is. Okay, all right. And then we go back to our C. Let's see. Okay, he woke me up. He woke me up, started me on my way. The blood is running warm in my veins. I'm in the land of the living. G7. One more day. God has really been good to me. Do you believe that God will open up the window? So that's the way that goes. So let's go back and walk through this just to make sure we got it. I try to remember the words and sing it at the same time. Okay. Listen, let me tell you about the God I serve. See, he keeps on blessing me. He still be worthy. Go to the A of my praise. We're going to add a D, but with a little honey. We didn't do another to the G7 thing. He woke me up, back to C, started me on my way. Little mustard. The blood is still running warm. Now we're going to add a little relish in my veins. Right? Go back to C. I'm in the land of the, to the 5, G7, back to the 1, for one more, to the 4, day. He's one, really been to the 5, good to me. Do you turn around? Do you believe that God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing? Okay. Now, with this, remember when I play this C7 chord or any barred 7 chord, remember it makes it movable so that you can move it. And if you really get into playing and the spirit is moving and you just want to praise God on your instrument. So I want to show you that I'm going to play the C7 and I'm also going to play the F7 just by moving it, but I'm going to walk it up. So from C7 I'm going to skip a fret, so go up 2 frets, and then then step up every fret till you get to F. We're gonna walk it up. Okay, so God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. Turn around if you want. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You always drop a little mustard there. I will not have the room to receive that. All right. Now, I know I've shown you a lot today. Just take each piece little by little, get it down. You don't have to do it all in one setting. And then practice little pieces. And then, you know, when you're playing and the Spirit hits you, it'll just pop in. Like I said, ponder this, and then one day it'll all come clear. So let's play. I'll play through one time, and then I'll sing the verse one time, the first verse, and then we'll end with the chorus. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. My God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. You will not have the room to receive that. Listen, let me tell you about the God I serve. He keeps on blessing me. He'd still be worthy of my praise if He didn't do another thing. He woke me up, started me on my way. The blood is still running warm in my veins. I'm in the land of the living one more day. He's really been good to me. Do you believe that God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing? My God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You will not have the room, not because of you, but because He's good. And you will not have the room to receive that. Oh, yeah. Join me on my porch again sometime. God bless you.